Welcome back to Our Canada, Our Future. We're talking about critical race theory with Jamil Jivani, president of the Canada Strong and Free Network. Jamil, you've identified obviously a lot of the problems with critical race theory, but in particular, what makes it so bad? I mean, this is a theory that's ostensibly to help persons of color, people who are disadvantaged vis-a-vis the white majority. What makes it particularly harmful to the very people that it's supposedly trying to help?
Well, Aaron, I would say there are two big issues as far as why critical race theory is harmful. The first one is that it is so pessimistic, and that's what makes it different from the civil rights movement of the 1960s. When people were marching alongside Martin Luther King Jr., they believed that equality was possible, that if we just give people a fair chance, treat everyone like equals, make citizenship available to every person regardless of their race, that we could have an equal society. Critical race theory basically says no to that. It says we cannot have equality unless we have radical change in our society, that somehow there is a fundamental flaw with who we are as Canadians. That means we can't be equal to each other unless we give critical race theorists the power to change our country. And I just think that that's a real, it's a risky proposition on multiple levels, but I also think it's morally and factually incorrect. I think we do have a society that can be made fair and equal, and we should continue working toward that end. The other concern I have about critical race theory is that it is a massive distraction from class inequality. Working class and middle class Black families and working class and middle class white families have a lot in common. And critical race theory is basically saying, don't see each other as the same. Don't see each other as neighbors and brothers and sisters. It's saying you should be fighting with each other and competing with each other for a small piece of the economic pie, when the truth is, as working class and middle class people, we should be working together. So it hurts the standing of all working and middle class families, regardless of race, if we're distracted by our racial differences instead of uniting over a similar shared experience we have in an economy that's getting more unequal. Housing prices are going up. Inflation's making it hard to, give your kids a better life. Seems like we have a lot of problems in common.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think both of those points relate back to division and the fact that CRT almost sort of entrenches and focuses on division and says that division is not something to overcome or something to persuade people and change hearts and minds. It's something that's fixed and there's nothing we can do about it. And the only solution is to sort of burn everything down and build up new structures that put rules in place because people themselves are irredeemable. So I think you're absolutely right about the pessimism there. I wanted to get your thoughts too on whether or not you think that critical race theory is it a cause or is it a consequence of the sort of overall increase in a focus on identity politics, on different groups, on sort of our immutable characteristics. Did CRT drive that, or is CRT flourishing because that has become a bigger focus?
I think it's certainly flourishing in the last few years because it's become a bigger focus. We basically have corporations across this country. We have government offices across this country who openly define people by their skin color now, as if that's a normal thing to do, who will literally advertise discriminating against workers on the basis of their skin tone or their origin or their nationality or whatever, or ethnicity, whatever it might be. So that has made critical race theory very fashionable because it allows for people who want to treat other human beings that way to feel like it's progressive to do so, when for most of human history, that's not been regarded as a progressive way of thinking. In fact, it's been regarded as regressive, and I think it still should be. So critical race theory is benefiting from some of those cultural changes, but I do think it is the result of some genuine failures of elites of all races and backgrounds to do right by the working and middle class families in Black communities and white communities. So people are looking for any way they can to have their grievances be acknowledged, to have the struggles they face be recognized. And unfortunately, for too many people, they see ideologies like critical race theory as a way to do that. And I think what we need to do as an alternative is say, no, there is another way forward where you don't have to struggle and we can pursue a better world without the division.
Yeah, that's a really good thoughts. Well, this is a really important topic, and you had some outstanding insights, Jamil. So I want to thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you as always. And I want to thank, of course, the viewers for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Our Canada, Our Future.